outside, had lots of tea and vada pav and other things, and lots of chatter about how to run businesses. So as you heard, a very interesting topic, how do you engage with millennials? And a pretty interesting panel here, people who run restaurants, people who've just gotten into the business, and Mohit, who's kind of was feeling a little bit left out. But we figured out that Nature's Basket is also trying to be a restaurant in some shape or form. But it's actually really interesting how these panels come together, different price points, different food, different business models. And I think what we'll do over the next 1 hour is hope to kind of get an engaging discussion going on. And I'll try to keep, I don't know how much time we have left now, but we'll try to keep some questions for you. So if you have any questions, please jot down. So as I said, context is how do you engage with millennials. Everybody has been looking at how the overall industry has been growing pretty rapidly. There's been a renewed kind of optimism after a couple of years of a little bit of some bumps in the road. Consumer spending has been looking up. People have been going out more often. People have been willing to spend more. A lot of the technology that we heard about is helping people order food at home, make those reservations. But in the end of the day, all of that is very, very helpful for the industry. The issue becomes is, everybody tries to serve the new kind of millennials. One of the big debate we had in the group was who's a millennial, like kind of how do you define? I don't know whether that's right or wrong. We all considered ourselves to be millennials. So anybody born after 1970 for us is a millennial, and then that made the cut. But on a more serious note, this is a young population. India is a young country. These are people who are just coming to age, have the money, have the interest, have the awareness, and also are very explicit about making a choice, right? And serving them not once, serving them on an ongoing basis becomes a pretty difficult challenge for everybody. And that's what I guess keeps all these restaurants and business owners on their feet, and it makes, I guess, their life a little bit exciting. So to start off, maybe I'll start with one round. Priyank, maybe with you, and we'll go around one. I hope the mic works. So, just
Sure.
a quick introduction from you, and quick means quick, and then just your reactions as you serve these, is it good, bad, as you serve these millennials? What do you think about what do they want, kind of thing? And we'll just go around that way, Zorawar, you and Mohit, kind of thing.
I started in 1999 with my first restaurant very modestly, and I've seen the market grow, and I'm very passionate about it. I love doing this. I've created a lot of brands. A lot of them are in the line. I'd rather not do anything else. It's more of a passion project for me.
Okay, and Priyank, as you serve younger customers of yours, have they changed since 1999?
Oh yes, I mean in numbers, they have increased many-fold since the time I opened my first restaurant. The working population is actually growing, and I see with the country in about, say, in a few years, it's going to grow much more than this. Definitely, yes.
Okay, Zorawar.
So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Glad to be here, part of these amazing restaurateurs and this fabulous conference that Gaurav and Ritu always organize. They're always able to get somehow the real big wigs here. I never see so many top restaurant superstars in one room, apart from when these two guys organize it. And I'm also glad this is the pre-lunch session because post-lunch we have a coma situation, and I'm glad people will be up and awake. So I think first thing I did was when I read the topic, which honestly was in the morning today, I Googled millennial because I always thought I was a millennial. And apparently a millennial, in the true definition on Wikipedia at least, is a person who's attained young adulthood by 2000, which is the millennium, right? So I think just from a restaurant's perspective, I started my restaurant business in 2006 from small little food stalls. And we grew that business. Then I met Amit, who's right there in the audience, and we formed a great company together. And it's been a great ride since then. And I think the key question is about how do you deal with the evolving nature of the marketplace. I think it's phenomenal. Firstly, I know Riaz already stole one of my quotes when he said that the restaurant business is 24 times larger than Bollywood, which is actually true, right? So imagine the career prospects. The next Shah Rukh Khan or Ranbir Kapoor or whoever could be, some chef that could come out of one of our restaurants, I guess. But the business is growing huge, and that's primarily because of millennials. Millennials are spending a lot of time eating out. They're eating out more often. Some stats in NRAI said that they eat out twice a week. I think in certain key urban areas, it's probably even more than that, significantly more than that. So the tastes have changed. Millennials are very well traveled. They have an amazingly adventurous palate. They like to try different cuisines. The days of serving dal makhani and butter chicken in a katori with a swirl of cream on top have gone. People want more innovation. People want unique experiences. And that's where the word innovation really comes into play. And millennials are really looking forward to having new experiences. And I think that's up to the restaurateur to kind of ensure that that continues so that our industry can keep growing.
Okay, thanks, Zorawar. Mohit, to you, and I know you kind of, are a wannabe restaurant, but also run a big famous grocery chain.
I'll begin by briefly introducing Nature's Basket, which some of you may not know. Nature's Basket is essentially a chain of gourmet retail stores. So we're not necessarily a restaurant, or we're not necessarily in that business. In fact, quite to the contrary, we actually promote eating at home rather than eating in restaurants. But having said that, we deal with a fair number of customers who are possibly millennials or who are possibly eating out in restaurants as well. And as Abhishek also mentioned, that we do have aspirations to serve more and more ready, fresh food in our stores, so that we're not really competing, with restaurants in that sense, but we're essentially expanding the size of our own business by offering different options to our consumers. Having said that, Abhishek, when you say to talk about millennials, we've not necessarily looked at our customers as millennials or Gen X's or Gen Y's or whichever way you define it. We've looked at our customers as those who are either driven by quality or driven by value or driven by provenance or authority or driven by pure convenience. But having said that, if you ask me, how do I see the millennials and how do I see their contribution in our business, I would say that over the last couple of years, one has noticed obviously an increasing contribution to business by the millennials. This would be the number one thing. At another level, we have noticed that this generation of customers, of new customers that is now coming into our stores, is helping drive trends a lot faster than their predecessors. So products or ingredients that were possibly unknown in the country, let's say a couple of years ago. Let's say if you take ingredients like quinoa or chia seeds or goji berries or stuff like that, which sounds unique, unheard of in some sense. This is being perpetuated, this is being adopted by the millennials a lot faster. That's the one thing I would say. And the second thing I would say is that this entire generation of millennials is very eager to learn new things. It's very eager to learn and very eager to adopt. That's been an observation.
Okay, thanks, Mohit. So next we'll go to Dheeraj. Dheeraj, you are hoping that people stick to what's very, very familiar. It's very traditional. You are maybe reinventing the business model, but not the taste and not the product per se. And, in all this kind of discussion of change, globally travel, can you make the vada pav sexy and glamorous and
Yeah, absolutely. So, Jumbo King, of course, started with the basic. I was a millennial when I started the business, and the thought process, came from the fact that, so, to give you perspective, Mumbai consumes about 10 lakh units of vada pav a day. And that is the entire market size. And 75 to 80% of all of these vada pavs are consumed in this age group of 15 to 25. And while, all this talk about, modernization out of foreign concepts and, all these things coming in happens, what we are realizing is that these millennials are doing what the previous generation was doing in terms of their spending capacity to, of course, they're spending more frequently, they're experimenting more. Is the same guy who goes to a cafe coffee day probably once a week to have a coffee and spend 75 rupees, 100 bucks on that. Twice or thrice a week, he comes and eats with us because he's looking for the quick snack on the go while he's traveling. And so the market is really, really large. Just understanding what the millennial wants, what he aspires to get at different times of the day. I think that's where the trick lies for all of us. And using this technology that millennials understand, be it Facebook or be it Twitter, be it other platforms like Food Panda, I think being able to marry all of these things to food that is actually being consumed is where the combination is going to lie. Striking the right balance over there. It's not going to be either or. It's going to be more of a hybrid model, and I think it's very, very exciting.
Okay. Thanks, Dheeraj. We'll go to Vikrant now. From your perspective, after, and I know you serve, intend to serve and offer a great experience to your customers as they come to your outlets. What's your view on that?
Good afternoon. There has been a lot of change and shift in the market. Started with a banqueting guy, then to a hotel, then to a restaurant, and finally to the most successful model of Cafe Delhi Heights. I'll get you to more of reality. So yesterday night only, I was sitting with my son. He's 15 years old. So I thought that these kids are the real millennials of the future also. Let me ask them what they want these days. And he was sitting with a bunch of his friends. I said, how much do you want to spend when you go out? 600 to 700 rupees per head. So what kind of a restaurant you want to go? Which serves lots of variety. I said, what do you mean by lots of variety? It's like, we want to eat at a world cuisine restaurant or a multi-cuisine restaurant. And I said, anything else? And it's like, we want to go to a place where we can earn moments, experiences. They want content for their page. So basically, the millennials want a lot of content when they can upload. They want experiences at the restaurants, which they can share, tell their friends. And another important part, they want to be relaxed. They don't want to go to stiff places. They want to go to more casual places. They want to relate to the brand, but they want to be friends with people. So for the millennials, I would say, when we work on our brand, then the brand should have a personification. Once you have a personification of a brand, that will show the attitude of the brand, the personality of the brand, because people want to be friends with the brand. So this is what the new generation wants. They want a lot of entertainment. They want to earn a lot of moments. And there's a great help in the market for all of us, the social media. So when they upload our things, the restaurants become famous. And definitely, the quality of food cannot be compromised. They still want to go out for good quality of food.
Okay. That seems like asking for lots and lots of things. And I'll come back to some of the points, interesting points Vikrant you wrote. So Weber, you've recently started on this journey. Your experiences kind of in line with what others have said. Any different reactions?
Well, I really have to agree with what Vikrant was saying, that yes, the customer is more demanding. They look for an experience more than just going out and eating. And the make or break could be a lot faster nowadays, you could say, because of the rate at which content is shared and consumed by the people. And millennials especially, the news spreads so fast that you could probably become a star overnight. It's highly possible. And I also feel in a big way that a lot of the Indian customers would prefer local brands over foreign brands. And homegrown brands are a lot more powerful in India, I feel, than international brands.
Okay. That's interesting. I know there's a session later today or maybe tomorrow talking about foreign brands. So, I'll just come back to one of the points that Vikrant said is talk about brands. So I don't run a restaurant. I can't even cook or do anything with it, but I'm a consumer, and we do work with lots of companies and service providers in this space. The topic I'll come back to all of you about is brand. And it's actually this generation is pretty weird. So if you go out, and we did this work recently, and ask people to name brands and what do different brands stand for, so that list is quite long. So they're very, very engaged customers. They know the names. They will list 12, 14, 18 brands. They will list to actually a high degree of accuracy what each brand stands for. And then, as you said, they're uploading, they're engaging, they will talk about a favorite dish. So the level of engagement is actually pretty high, and it's pretty expressive. So which is very good. As a marketer, as a brand owner, you feel, wow, this is really good. But the catch is, they are promiscuous. They are loyal just for today. Every day, you have to fight for that loyalty. They'll move to a new place if you don't meet cost, service, food, and everything else. And this is that, so one's an opportunity. How do you get somebody who's so emotionally vested in your brand? And the other side is somebody who's going to betray you and then, be moving out kind of thing the very instant you fail or something else better comes up. So it's like, I don't know, Tinder 101 kind of thing with food or something. So, and maybe we'll just go back, and Zorawar, maybe we'll start with you and follow with Priyank. So in this thing, what do you think, how do you brand your product? Like, what do you do creating with this entire ecosystem, which is very, very happy to be part of you, but then will dump you the moment somebody prettier, nicer, cheaper, sexier walks in the bar the next 2 minutes later, right?
Honestly, in the restaurant business, it's actually a very tough business. I think all of us here can be testament to that fact that it looks glamorous only from the outside. It's not. You're only as good as your last meal. So you might think that you're a super hot shot, but if your last meal in your restaurant last evening was poor, a lot of people, 200, 300 people that came to your restaurant had a poor experience. And they're going to go out and will be 4 times or 5 times as likely to complain about it than to actually compliment. That's the nature of our business, okay? Initially, whenever we open a new brand, the first 2 months is something I called e-stress. E-stress refers to stress that I faced due to online comments. And Zomato, honestly, is a great medium, and I think it's good. It helps us become better. But, my point about brand loyalty is why should there be? I don't want brand loyalty. I'll tell you why. If somebody's loyal to a particular type of cuisine, for example, he's probably going to eat out once a week, right? So the entire industry as a whole will perhaps less times that he'll be going and eating out. Whereas in dining, Indians like to eat out quite often, and they don't always want the same experience. They want different experiences, which is good for the industry. If every restaurant, like maybe 20 years ago, used to serve dal makhani and butter chicken in Connaught Place, how often would you go out? You were going out once in a month to celebrate something. Now you have such amazing hubs like Cyber Hub, like Connaught Place. Priyanka is doing fabulous work over there, where you have a multitude of restaurants. You have options, and options drives consumerism. The great thing about millennials is that they like to eat out more and more. They're spending a higher percentage of their gross disposable income on eating out than any other kind of entertainment, which bodes very well for us. So I'm not really bothered about their lack of loyalty. I want them to eat out more. I want them to be able to have multitude of experiences that helps the industry grow. So I think and secondly, it's not a birthright to have brand loyalty, right? We have to earn it. If his vada pavs, if he's selling so many of them a day, it's because they're good quality products available at a good price. And I think you have to do that. Another key thing to understand about loyalty is that you have to price yourself sensitively. You cannot suddenly expect, okay, Le Cirque is a great restaurant, one of my favorite restaurants in the whole world, but I eat out there once a year on my anniversary. It costs 5,000-6,000 rupees a head. Whereas at a place like Delhi Heights or a place like at Jumbo King, I would eat out way more. So I think brand loyalty has to be earned. And I don't think we should ever take it as a birthright. We should not consider that just because, we got these good restaurants spread out, that people are going to keep coming to us.
Okay. Priyank, your reaction, you run many, many different brands, like just kind of listing them, listening to them. How do you come up with a new brand and how do you kind of differentiate?
See, I'll tell you, guests are very promiscuous, as you said. People like to always try something new. Always, every weekend, people do want to go to a new place. But what's more important is that you have to keep reinventing the wheel to get them back to your place. I've seen many restaurants, they really open up with a bang. They do very well in the first few months or couple of the years, but then they just fizzle out. They die down. They do not really reinvent, which is very important. The upkeep of the restaurant is very important. You have to try to find different ways to market it. Entertainment is a very big part, which is also, I think, part of our thing. And you have to constantly do something new to attract the guest back. You have to do food festivals. There are a lot of things basically that it's a continuous process now with the kind of brands I'm doing, because they are in market hubs, they are liquor oriented brands, they are youth oriented brands. And they are getting competition from other brands, including some of my own brands. But you have to be on your toes. It's really not an easy job.
Okay. Dheeraj, maybe reactions from you. So you are trying to build a brand, like a standard brand that stands for something. If I see it right across the street, I know exactly what I want. And Mohit, same for you too, right? So maybe reaction from you too. Dheeraj, we'll start with you. So how you do want somebody to kind of have a association and an intent which is pretty specific. How do you do that? How do you offer some of the things that Priyank and Zorawar spoke about? How do you offer something new and excitement when your core product has to remain the same?
So my reaction to that would be because the industry is so large, it is also very, very fragmented. There are so many different options which are possible, and all of those options based on price points, based on time of the day, based on an occasion, they are all going to work. So as a brand, as long as you identify what your niche is and you occupy that niche very, very strongly, I think the business is going to sustain. So for us, we recognize a customer as someone who comes and eats with us once a week. For McDonald's, it is someone who consumes them once a month. Similarly for Domino's. So my examples are more around the QSR because that's the space that I understand better. And of course, when it's the fine line business, what Zorawar and so it is a lot about entertainment, about keeping on reinventing what you're doing. I think so the food becomes taken for granted. It has to be good. But then, how do you innovate around all of that? That is where probably the real skill set lies, and I think you all are doing a fantastic job with that. So we are happy giving a standardized product made in a factory. Everything is measured. There is no surprises. And every time you come to a Jumbo King store, you'll get exactly the same experience. That's what it is all about. It's a no surprises thing. It's like, I go to I don't know, we can all do a, test on ourselves and see how many times you order Domino's at home. And you will see that you probably ask for the same pizza every time. You see an ad about a new pizza which has got launched, and you end up ordering your veg extravaganza or whatever it may be because you feel like having a pizza that day. So that is how the QSR business works especially.
Okay. Mohit, you were trying to create your own brand, but...
So I do believe that a very clear positioning is absolutely critical to the business. What your business stands for in the eyes of your consumers is the center point of your existence. And that clear positioning it could translate from your location, from what you offer inside the store, from your ambience, from your service levels, and so on and so forth. It's not a function of any one thing. It's a function of a multiple of these things, but a clear position is absolutely critical. So for instance, in some of the fine dine businesses, it may not necessarily be the food that is being offered inside the restaurant. It's the newness of the offering, which is what is driving in the customer. And if that newness dies over a period of time, that customer is going to possibly stop coming to you. So therefore, innovation becomes extremely critical. And that's also true for us in the food and grocery business. If we stand for a premium retailer where you find things that you don't find elsewhere, it's not frozen in time. It needs to continue to evolve, and we need to continue to offer ingredients and products and condiments that are not available elsewhere. And that is what keeps driving customers back to you. And that's what's been our learning.
Okay.